Hi everybody, Cheryl and Lady coming to you from the Ladies Garden and Home, and today I'm going to explain to you how when I needed to, I created my garden beds cheaply, easily, and without breaking my back. So I hope you join us. When I first moved in to the house here, these garden beds were already here, which was very nice because that was just a few months before the pandemic lockdown, and that's when I decided I need to grow some food. And they were very convenient, and I went ahead and I grew tomatoes and cucumbers and all kinds of summer vegetables. And as I got to learn more and more about gardening, and I was gaining more confidence and learning so much more, I really wanted to expand the garden. And it was around this time of year, around mid-August of 2020, when I discovered two things. One, how to grow a fall garden, and two, how to build a garden without using a shovel. That was the biggest problem for me because I have a bad back and I am not a particularly strong woman. So when I discovered No Dig, thanks to Charles Dowding, he has a wonderful YouTube channel and he's kind of the godfather of No Dig, my life was completely changed. It's a good idea before you start making the bed to figure out the light in your garden. This is east, this is south, this is west, oh that's bright, and then this is north. And when you are checking the light, you want to keep in mind that most vegetables that you're going to grow require 6 to 8 hours of sunlight to be considered grown in full sun. So that's important to keep in mind when you are planning where you're going to put your garden beds. The way that I did this is I took pictures from an upstairs window that overlooks the garden. Pretty much all day long from the morning to the afternoon, I set the timer, and every hour I took a picture to get an idea of where the sun hits and when. So these beds here that run east-west have southern exposure pretty much all day, except over here where it gets some dappled shade for a few hours a day. All the garden beds that I made, I used materials that I found in the yard. Some of it I was very lucky to just happen to have here when I moved in, and some of it kind of came crashing down on me. The first bed that I made was this one. Using these fence posts as borders, I put a double layer of cardboard down on top of the grass to act as a weed barrier, and then wet the cardboard well. I put down a few inches of good potting soil and about 2 inches of compost on top, and then added some organic granular fertilizer. I planted some chard and spinach starts immediately in. Right before the hard frost came, I covered them with plastic hoops, and they made it through the winter. I was able to start harvesting in the very early spring. So shortly after I built the fall bed, there was a huge storm that blew through and knocked down a couple of these branches from this big pine tree here. And those were pretty large, and I was very lucky it actually missed the house. But those branches had very soft lines, and I felt they were thick enough to really define the borders of some more garden beds. And I put this one here. This is the shade garden. And here were some loose pieces. So come the spring of the following year, I had overwintered some vegetables and I wanted some more space to plant in the early spring. So I made this bed. And in this corner over here underneath the tree, as you can see, I just simply lined it with some rocks and bricks. And in fact, over here, it's not lined at all. Another thing to keep in mind when you are growing in a bed that runs east to west is you're going to want to put your shorter vegetables towards the front, then the medium size like the eggplant over there in the middle, and then the taller climbing cucumbers, for example, in the back, because you want everything to be able to get as much sunlight as possible. In a bed that's running north-south, you don't really have as much of a concern. However, just remember taller plants can block out the light. So, for example, I have the taller things like the zinnias growing in the middle right now. The beans will be finished, their bush beans will be finished by the time the peppers get tall enough to block out the light. Also, a little shade in the middle of the afternoon especially is not a bad thing. In the heat of the summer, it gives them a little bit of reprieve from the intense sun beating down on them. Another tip that I want to give you that really helped save my back is I started ordering my garden soil online from Home Depot, and they deliver it sometimes just the next day. And they just, they leave it for me in the driveway, and then I use this garden cart that I got, and I just put the bag in there, and I can wheel it all around the garden. So if you're like me and you're looking for some extra space in the garden because your summer vegetables are still going strong and you want to start a fall garden, or even if you've never had a garden and you want to plant some things for the fall and maybe into the winter and you need some extra space, I hope this video helped you realize just how easy and cheap it can be. Whether you're going to be putting in a garden for the first time this fall, or if you're just looking for some extra space, there are a lot of benefits to no-dig gardening. The benefits of not disturbing the soil, letting the microbes do their job, letting the earthworms do the job of decomposing the cardboard. And the most important thing for me was that I did not have to pick up a shovel and dig. All I know is it enabled me to make a bunch of garden beds that I would not have even tried had I not known about this technique. I highly suggest you go to Charles Dowding's YouTube channel if you're interested in learning much more about this. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. And I hope you subscribe so you can see some of the videos I'm going to be coming out with. From the Ladies Garden & Home, enjoy your gardening journey. Bye! Say goodbye, lady.